listeners, and welcome to episode 58 of the Nigeria Football Weekly podcast with me, your host, Olu OK. Today, I've got an eventful podcast. I'll be going through how our players performed in all the top European leagues, and I'll also be going through the Super Eagles squad list, which was announced earlier today on Tuesday for our friendly games against Mexico and Ecuador. So the game against Mexico will be taking place on the 29th of May on Sunday, and will be taking place in Texas at the AT&T Stadium. And then a few days later, on Friday, the 3rd of June, we'll be playing Ecuador at the Red Bull Arena in New Jersey. One thing to note, though, is there should be an additional list announced from the NFF for the Super Eagles, I'll say within the next fortnight, for our AFCON qualifiers. So our AFCON qualifiers start 6 days after these two friendly games will be taking place. So we have a home game against Sierra Leone on Thursday, June 9th, and then we'll be going away to Sao Tome and Principe on Monday, June 13th. So just be aware of that. But this list is specifically for the two friendly games on the 29th of May against Mexico and against Ecuador on the 3rd of June. One thing to note, we still don't have a permanent coach of the Super Eagles. Previously suspended coach Salisu Yusuf continues to be the interim manager while we wait for a permanent appointment. I have no idea what he's doing within the Super Eagles rank, but hey, it's Nigeria, so we just take certain things as we see it, you know. But yeah, anyway, just to run down through the list that was called up. In goal, we've got Maduka Okoye in the team. Two home-based goalkeepers, Adewale Adeyinka, who plays for Kwara United. He's got 9 clean sheets and 20 appearances this season in the Nigerian Premier League. Ojo Leke, also a goalkeeper. He plays for Enyimba, 6 clean sheets in 15 games. He's been called up as well. Defenders, a lot of the usual suspects, William Ekong, Leon Balogun, Semi Ajayi, Chidozie Awaziem have all been called up as centre-backs. We've got Calvin Bassey, Zaidu Sanusi as left-backs. We know Calvin Bassey could also play as a centre-back. We've also got Ola Aino and Shehu Abdullahi as the right-backs in the squad. I don't know why Shehu Abdullahi is in the squad when people like Kevin Akpoguma have not been called up yet again. I don't know what the NFF's beef is with Kevin Akpoguma. You spent so long convincing him to play for Nigeria, and he plays in the Bundesliga and is playing well, and you still won't call him up. And there's also 2 players who've been called up from the Nigeria Premier League in defence. We've got Issa Ali, he's a centre-back for Remo Stars, and Ibrahim Buhari, I know the irony, right? He plays for Plateau United. I actually noticed he scored 5 goals in 22 games as a centre-back this season in the Nigeria Premier League. So, fair play. It looks like he packs a threat in the air. Moving on to our midfielders, a lot of the usual suspects. Joe Aribo is back in the squad. Alex Iwobi is back after his suspension against the game for the games against Ghana. Etebo is in the list, although, to be fair, he's had a terrible, terrible season at club level. We've seen a lot of newly called up players, to be fair. Samson Tijani has been called up. It's the second time he's been called up, and probably the first time he's been called up properly since I remember Grenaro called him up for a few friendlies against Algeria and Tunisia in 2020. I'm very, very pleased to say Alhassan Yusuf is in the squad. They finally heard my cries from the podcast, so good to see. I'm not so sure why Azubike Okechukwu has been called up. I mean, he hasn't been playing that well this season. He plays for Yeni Malatyaspor in the Turkish league, but he's been called up anyway. To be fair, we know Frank Onyeka and Wilfred Ndidi are both injured, so that's probably played a part in the thinking behind the central midfielder selected. But when I look at the list, it makes me realize how much we rely on people like Joe Aribo and Ndidi, and even someone like Onyeka off the bench, you know. But hopefully Alhassan Yusuf can make a good account of himself in the friendlies. Also, we've also seen 2 players called up from Nigeria Premier League in midfield. Babatunde Nosiru, he plays for Kwara United, and Chiamaka Madu, who plays as a right winger for Rivers United, but for some reason he was listed as a midfielder. I'm not sure. I'm not going to try and pretend like I watch Nigeria Premier League, but I'm just providing the information. And then in terms of forwards, guys, didn't Ahmed Musa say he was going to retire after the World Cup? Now Nigeria did not qualify for the World Cup. I'm still seeing Ahmed Musa being called up in national team matters. Like, surely there has to be a time where he says, you know what, I've done enough. I've played my dues. It's been 2 years. We usually have the problem where certain players retire too early from the national team. But Ahmed Musa seems to be the opposite. It's like he wants to hang on to the national team for as long as possible before letting go. But anyway, what do I know? Moses Simon has also been called up. No surprise there. So Moses Simon and Ademola Lookman as left wingers. Chukwueze and Ademola Lookman have been called up as right wingers. Lovely to see Cyriel Dessers called back into the national team squad. Well deserved after his 18 goals in all competitions this season. Umar Sadiq is also in the team. To be fair, he's about to qualify. His team, Almeria, about to be promoted to La Liga. So I don't have too many qualms about him being brought back into the national lineup, to be honest. As long as he plays well, we'll see how it goes. And then there have also been a few Nigerian Premier League players called up. Victor Mbauma, he plays for Enyimba. He scored 12 goals in 24 games for Enyimba this season. And Ishak Rafiu, he plays for Rivers United and he's got 14 goals in 26 appearances this season. So that's the squad list. A few interesting things to see. 8 home-based players selected. I know you know how the usual clamour for home-based players goes, but I'm guessing it's a friendly match, so there's no harm. You might as well see how some of these players do. Although, in my opinion, there's still a lot of other players that could have been selected. Obviously, Ndidi and Onyeka miss out through injury. For some strange reason on the universe, Taiwo Awoniyi is not in this list. I don't know what Taiwo Awoniyi has done to these guys. I'm hoping, I don't want to judge too much because when the list comes out for our actual Nations Cup qualifier squad, I'm hoping we'll see Awoniyi's name somewhere there. For some reason, Paul Onuachu was not called up either. I don't know what's going on there. I heard a rumor he might be getting married in the summer, but I'm pretty sure he got married last year, so I don't know why that should be an issue. Positives, though, good to see Alhassan Yusuf receive his first call-up and Cyriel Dessers back in the squad. I'm guessing, I read a rumor somewhere that Victor Osimhen was asked to be excused from the friendly games, which I'm not too mad at, to be fair, because we'll rather he plays in the qualifiers. And if I was to predict, I'll say that's probably the same thing that's happened with Kelechi Iheanacho, because he's still one of Nigeria's better players, to be fair. And there's no reason why he shouldn't be in the squad, all things being considered. But yeah, those are my main grips, especially not having Akpoguma and Awoniyi. It's like the NFF have some vendetta against the Bundesliga after Grenoro left the Super Eagles. I don't know what's happening there, but anyway, we'll see what happens. Other things to note, do we see a new shape implemented by the team after the disastrous performances against Ghana? Obviously, it's an opportunity for players to stake a claim in the national team. So I'm sure we'll see a lot of players given opportunities to, get a run out and get some caps under their belt in the games. One thing to note is friendly games are still important for your world rankings. Nigeria currently ranked the 30th best team in the world, and we're not going to be in the World Cup. So we have to make sure we make as much progress in terms of our world ranking points in all the games we play before the World Cup and after the World Cup. And thankfully, there's an AFCON next year. Mexico are currently ranked the 9th best team in the world. I'm not sure how when you consider their initially shaky CONCACAF qualification process. Remember, Nigeria played Mexico with an entirely home-based team last year and lost 4-0. So it's an opportunity to bounce back and actually show our quality. So I'm sure we could field a really good team. And Ecuador, who are the surprise qualifiers in the South American round robin league, they're 46th in the world, but they're a very, very, very dangerous team. To be honest, they probably play much better as a team than Nigeria do as at today. So if we're not careful, that could be a very tricky one for the Super Eagles. But anyway, we expect a lot of rotation as it's friendly, and you can't really say what the set starting lineup would be. But if I was to pick, as at today, I would start Maduka Okoye in goal. He needs to build his confidence back after missing the games against Ghana. His last game was obviously the mistake against Tunisia at AFCON. Ola Aina needs to come back in at right back. He's still the best right back we've got by far. And he doesn't really let Nigeria down in terms of his performances, even though he's struggling for minutes at club level. I'd like to see Calvin Bassey come in at centre-back and either one of Balogu or Ekong play, but you have to say Balogu's played more minutes than him this season. You could even argue that both of them should not start, but until we have more credible options at centre-back, I'd say our hands are a bit tied there. Zaidu Sanusi, who's just become a champion in Portugal. Congratulations, we're going to touch on him soon. He needs to start at left-back. Aribo has to start. He's probably our star player in this team without Victor Osimhen or Ndidi. I'm very reluctant to say Taiwo should start because he's not playing any minutes for Watford at the moment. In my opinion, I'd like to see Alhassan Yusuf given a go. Start the man. Let's see how he goes. Iwobi will definitely start the game after missing the Ghana games. And then we'll either see Simon or Lookman start on the left wing or Dennis or Chukwueze start on the right wing. And I'm 99% sure we'll see Cyriel Dessers start the game, considering how he's been left in the cold and how well he's been playing. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Omar Sadiq start. But yeah, that's just to bring you the update on the Super Eagles. It's nice to have a few games to look forward to. And of course, we'll be bringing you the previews of those games and reviewing those games as and when they happen. So yeah, we'll still wait to see who's announced as national team manager. NFF matters, you can never be sure. Also, earlier this week, FIFA have ordered the Nigerian FA to pay salaries owed to Gennaro. The amount adds up to $377,879 for terminating his contract early and not paying up. Standard practice in football, if you terminate someone's contract early, you pay them the balance of their salary to terminate their contract. Even in the Prem, whenever a manager is sacked, they pay him his compensation unless there were certain clauses in that contract. So I don't know what the Nigerian FA were thinking. And now that they don't even have the money that they're going to get from a supposed World Cup, which would have been in the region of like $12 million, I mean, good luck with Amaju Pinnick and paying what they owe Grenadier. We'll see what happens on that one. Also, BBC's Oluwashina Okeleji reported that Leicester, Newcastle and West Ham are all interested in Taiwo Awoniyi this summer. So we'll see what happens and what moves are made in the summer in regards to our national team players. And we also know that there's an NFF presidential election taking place later this year in September. Oluwashina Okeleji reported the man called Dr. Christian Emeruwa. He's the head of safety and security for CAF at the moment. He has declared that he'll be running for the post. I've also heard Amaju Pinnick will be stepping aside. I hope that's true because if we look at Amaju Pinnick's tenure as NFF president as a whole, you have to say it's been pretty much a disaster, especially post-2019. Oh my God. Ever since Mahrez scored that goal in the AFCON in 2019, we've seen a lot of downs as Nigerian national team supporters, even though we've had a much better team than a lot of our contemporaries in the African continent. But yeah, that's it for all things Nigerian football this week in terms of the national team. So moving on to the league game results and previews, I'll try and whiz through this section as we've obviously spent quite a bit of time talking about the Super Eagles. Starting with the Premier League as usual, and the Leicester City boys were in action over the past week. They lost their UEFA Conference League semi-final against Roma on Thursday. They lost 1-0 at Stadio Olimpico, courtesy of Tammy Abraham. I know, another player of Nigerian descent scoring. So Leicester bowed out 2-1 on aggregate. Lookman started the game and Iheanacho came on for the entire second half, but unfortunately he wasn't able to do the job for them in that game. And then after bowing out over the weekend, it was a bit of another bad performance from Leicester. They lost 2-1 at home at the King Power Stadium to Everton on Sunday. This time, Kelechi Iheanacho started the game, and we saw Demola Lookman come on for the last 10 minutes. Their season is peltering away a little bit. At the moment, they're now 14th, although they do have 4 games left. They're one of the few teams that has that many fixtures left to play. So we'll see if they're able to just claw their way back because they're only 5 points off 9th spot. But it's safe to say it's going to be nothing like the last 2 seasons where they just about finished 5th and missed out on Champions League football on the final day of both seasons. Next up for them, tomorrow night on Wednesday, they play Norwich at home and then they go away to Watford on Sunday. I mean, if you cannot beat Watford, who have been relegated, and Norwich who have been relegated, then I don't know what to say about that, Brendan Rodgers. I don't care if they have nothing to play for. Just batter those 2 teams, mate. Alex Iwobi's Everton, they're now out of the relegation zone. Well done to them. He got a superb assist over the weekend to assist Vitaly Mykolenko, the left-back, in that 2-1 victory over Leicester away. Iwobi has been one of the revelations of the Frank Lampard era, and I'm really, really happy for him to see the resurgence. They're now 16th, actually. They're 1 point ahead of Burnley and Leeds, with Leeds currently occupying the relegation zone. Next up for them, they will be playing Watford tomorrow night on Wednesday away, and then they play Brentford at home. I think if they could get 4 points, 3, 4, or 6 points in these 2 games, it will go a long way to Everton being able to seal their safety in the Premier League and avoid getting relegated. And to be honest, I want as many players in the Premier League as possible that play for Nigeria. So we want Everton to stay in the league because, as you guys know, there are a lot of Nigerian players at Watford, and guess what? They're all going back to the Championship except Emmanuel Dennis. So Dennis, Eko, Getebo, Kalu, Watford's relegation got confirmed from the Premier League this last weekend, courtesy of a 1-0 loss away at Crystal Palace, where Zaha scored a penalty. Then it started as usual, and Ekong actually got a run in the game, which was like his first minutes in ages. He played the final 12 minutes after first-choice centre-back Samir got injured. Etebo and Kalu remain unused subs, and to be honest, I can't see anybody picking them up when they go back down to the Championship. But at least I'm sure Dennis will stay in the Prem. I've heard he's linked to Villarreal, so maybe he'll go to La Liga. But there's no way he's going to play the Championship. So we want as many of our players to remain in the league. When I think about the teams that have been promoted so far, Fulham and Bournemouth, maybe we may see Fulham go back for Ola Aina, or if Tosia Bio finally comes to his senses and plays for Nigeria, then we'll also report on Tosia Bio's performances for Fulham. But anyway, next up for Watford, a few pointless games for them. They play Everton at home on Wednesday and Leicester at home on Sunday. They're just playing for pride now. So hopefully we could just see Dennis up his goal contributions and make sure he keeps himself in the shopping window ahead of the summer transfer window. Frank Rijekaard, unfortunately, is still injured for Brentford, even though they thrashed Southampton 3-0. It's just a shame. His season has pelted out a little bit, but Brentford are actually the top performing team in terms of the ones that have got Nigerian players. They're 12th in the Prem right now. I know we need some players playing for better clubs, man. Like Leicester really just messed up the whole thing this year. But anyway, hopefully we bounce back next season. Other Premier League results to be aware about. Brentford beat Southampton 3-0, as I just mentioned. Aston Villa beat Burnley away 3-1. Chelsea drew 2-2 at home to Wolverhampton, with Wolverhampton scoring a last-minute equaliser from Conor Cody. Lukaku actually scored a brace, which is surprising to see. Brighton thumped Manchester United 4-0. I mean, shout out Cucurella, what a player. Felipe Caicedo, incredible player. Like Brighton, if they had a number 9 that was a shooter, they would be one of the best teams in the league, man. Graham Potter is a genius. And if anything scares me about Tottenham rumours, it's the fact that they might go for Graham Potter if Antonio Conte leaves them, because that would really worry me. My Arsenal beat Leeds United 2-1. I mentioned in the preview that I was hoping that Eddie Nketiah could do something. And thankfully, Eddie Nketiah did a lot. He scored the 2 goals for Arsenal, even though we made it more nervy than it needed to be. And then we also saw Man City thrash Newcastle 5-0 to bounce back from their loss in the Champions League the previous weekend. Also, in the rescheduled games which are taking place during the midweek, as today's Tuesday night, Liverpool beat Aston Villa 2-1 earlier today. So Aston Villa scored a goal literally in the second minute. How have I forgotten who scored? Douglas Luiz scored, yeah, Douglas Luiz. And then literally 2 minutes later, Joe Matip equalised for Liverpool. And then come the moment when you need a saviour, Sadio Mane was there to save Liverpool, scoring a beautiful header from a Luis Diaz cross to keep Liverpool in the title race. The remaining games you've got in the Prem this midweek and over the weekend. Tomorrow, Wednesday night, we'll see Leeds United host Chelsea at Elland Road. Leeds United are in desperate need of some points. You have to say Chelsea are also in desperate need of some points because they're only 1 point ahead of Arsenal now after their recent terrible run of form. Leicester City are playing Norwich. I hope they win. They should win. Everton and Watford play each other. They've got Nigerian players, both teams, but we need Alex Iwobi to remain in the Premier League, considering Watford cannot help themselves. And also, can I just say, karma is a bitch, because remember when they didn't allow Dennis come to AFCON because they claimed it was very important he plays games? And here they are getting relegated. I have to be honest, I feel no sympathy for them, you know what? And they need to rest in peace for that. You know, I used to have a soft spot for Watford, but man, they should go down. Think about their lives. Wolverhampton hosts Man City. I think that's a tougher game than we realised, but Wolverhampton have struggled a little bit until they drew against Chelsea over the weekend. So let's see what happens. And then in probably the game of the week, Tottenham host Arsenal at their new stadium. 7:45, 4th against 5th. Arsenal are currently 4 points ahead of Tottenham. If we win the game, we make it to the Champions League. Just imagine the Amazon documentary that's going to come out if we do it. Even if we draw, to be honest, I'll take a draw because that just means we need to win one of our final 2 games away to Newcastle or at home to Everton on the final day of the season. Even if we lost, we'll still be ahead of Tottenham, but I think it'll be a bit too squeaky bummish for us to afford that. But yeah, those are the midweek fixtures. And then on Sunday, we're going to see a round of Premier League games. There's no Premier League games on Saturday because it's the FA Cup final. So the FA Cup final is going to be Liverpool versus Chelsea, as you all know, at Wembley. I believe it's a 5:30 p.m. kickoff or maybe 4:30 p.m. I'm not 100% sure about that. And then on Sunday, Tottenham will play Burnley at 12 noon. Aston Villa host Crystal Palace at 2 p.m. Leeds United host Brighton at 2 p.m. Watford hosts Leicester at 2 p.m. West Ham hosts Man City at 2 p.m. That should be a tasty game, actually. Maybe West Ham could do Liverpool a favour, even though I highly doubt it. And Wolves also host Norwich at 2 p.m. on Sunday. The 4:30 p.m. kickoff game is Everton against Brentford. Everton obviously needs to stay in the Prem, so that should be an interesting game to watch as well. And then on Monday night in the 8 p.m. kickoff, Newcastle United host Arsenal. I'm hoping by then we'd have wrapped up top four, but if not, we'll see what happens. And then on Tuesday, we'll see Southampton play Liverpool. So yeah, those are the next set of Premier League games. And of course, we'll bring you the updates on how they all go. Moving on, Serie A, Victor Osimhen played 90 minutes on Saturday as Napoli beat Torino 1-0 away. Insigne missed a pen. I mean, he's missed a few pens this season now, but I guess one of the positives is Insigne is moving to Toronto FC in the summer. So we'll see Victor Osimhen take over penalty-taking duties for Napoli, as he should be doing anyway. Consider if he gives Napoli one more season, which I think he will, considering he's going to be playing in the Champions League, not Championship, excuse me. Next up for Napoli, they play Genoa at home on Sunday. And speaking of Ola Aina at Torino, he was no new sub in the game when they lost 1-0 to Napoli on Saturday. He probably needs a move in the summer after falling out of the starting lineup after AFCON. That's one of the annoying things that can happen with AFCON. When players are starting and then they go to represent their country and all of a sudden their coach doesn't play them that often. It's really, really irritating. But anyway, next year's AFCON is in the summer, so we shouldn't have this problem for any of our players until 2025 at the very earliest. Isaac Success was injured for Udinese as they drew 1-1 against Sassuolo away on Saturday. We'll see if he's back this weekend when they play Spezia at home. Joel Obi Salernitana are now incredibly out of the relegation zone. They're 17th. They beat Venezia 2-1 last week Thursday, and then they drew 1-1 against Cagliari on Sunday. In fact, they were on their way to beating Cagliari 1-0, which would have relegated Cagliari and Venezia. But Cagliari scored a last-minute header after they were denied a penalty, which VAR overturned. It was quite an enjoyable end of the game to watch. I know everyone's thinking, what the hell are you doing watching Salernitana Cagliari? But hey, if it's got Nigerian players in it, sometimes I might just give it a cheeky check because it's football, innit? But Joel Obi was on new sub in both of those games, which was a bit annoying. Next up for them, they play Empoli away on Saturday. If they win that game, they just might seal their place in Serie A for yet another for their second season, which would be an incredible achievement considering they've only come up to Serie A for the first time in, I think, over 20 years this season. Unfortunately for some others, Venezia are definitely going down to Serie B. David Okereke started their game against Salernitana, which they lost 2-1 on Thursday. And then on Sunday, he came off the bench as they pulled off an unlikely 4-3 win. They're still 5 points off safety, and there's only 2 games left, so they're very, very likely to get relegated. And unfortunately, they're playing Jose Mourinho's Roma away on Saturday. So if I was a betting man, I think it may just be curtains for Venezia at this point in time. But we've seen stranger things happen in football, and we wish them all the best. Moving on to La Liga, Samuel Chukwueze put in a man of the match display for Villarreal at home against Sevilla on Sunday. It was a 1-1 draw. He was very lively in the game, but sadly, Villarreal don't have too much more to play for this season after they were knocked out of the Champions League semi-final. And in the league, they're currently 7th, which means that the best they could probably hope for is getting a UEFA Conference League spot, which will go to the team that finishes 6th because they're only 3 points behind Real Sociedad. And speaking of Real Sociedad, Villarreal will be playing Real Sociedad at home on Sunday. But before that game, they also play Rayo Vallecano away on Thursday. So let's see how they get on in those games. Aziza Oshoala, Super Z, probably Nigeria's best ever female footballer. She scored in a 5-1 win for FC Barcelona Femini against Sevilla on Thursday to reach 20 league goals for the season. She's been injured for at least 2 or 3 months in the entire season, and she's still the joint top goal scorer in the I've forgotten what it's called, Primera Liga Femini. Anyway, the Women's La Liga, alongside a Brazilian player called Gais of Real Madrid. It's just incredible. On the weekend, she came on for 33 minutes in a 6-1 win over Rayo Vallecano. What this means is, Barcelona women have already won the league. They played 29 games. They've won all 29 games. It's actually ridiculous. Like, they don't even draw. They've got one more league game this Sunday against Rashida Ajibade's Atletico Madrid. And, of course, you already know what the score of that game is going to be. Barcelona are going to win. And it'll be nice to see Aziza Oshoala take home the Golden Boot. considering her injury worries and woes this season. And after that, she'll have a Champions League final to prepare for. And just to touch on Omar Sadiq at Almeria. Almeria are now officially top of the league in the Spanish Segunda. He scored in their 3-0 win over SD Amorebieta at home on Saturday. So they're now 2 points ahead of the second place team, and they're 4 points ahead of the third place team. So if they win 2 of their last 3 games, it's very, very simple. They will be back in La Liga. And we want Omar Sadiq in La Liga. I don't really enjoy having to report on players who play in the second tier of big leagues. I think a country like Nigeria, not that it's embarrassing because you're going to have players everywhere, but we shouldn't have to be reporting on players who play in the second tier when we have enough players who play in the big leagues, you know what I'm saying? And then in the Bundesliga, Taiwo Awoniyi got a superb assist in Union Berlin's 4-1 thrashing. They beat Freiburg away 4-1 on Saturday, and they're just 3 points off Leipzig in 4th place. But unfortunately, they've got a massively inferior goal difference with 1 game to go. So they've got +5 goal difference, while Leipzig have a +35 goal difference. And I'm pretty sure in the Bundesliga, goal difference counts over head-to-head, which is the norm in Serie A, for example. So it's probably impossible for them to make the Champions League, but they can overtake Freiburg in 5th for a Europa League spot. And Freiburg currently sit just 1 point ahead of them. Final game of the season, they played Bochum on Saturday. I still don't understand how Awoniyi was not called up, but I'll see what happens in the Nations Cup list. Kevin Akpoguma as well was not called up for Nigeria, which baffles me, but he was on a new sub for Hoffenheim over the weekend as they lost 4-2 to Bayer Leverkusen at home on Saturday. Someone will have to explain to us one day why they keep snubbing Akpoguma and calling up MPFL centre-backs. I'm sorry, it don't make no sense to me. But next up, he's got Gladbach, Borussia Mönchengladbach away to finish up the league on Saturday. And finally, Dixon Abiyama at the Bundesliga. He played his final 3 minutes in the Bundesliga for this season. They lost 3-1 to Dortmund at home on Saturday. They play Augsburg away on Saturday, and then they'll go back to the German second division, which is where they probably belong considering their wretched performance in the league. And finally, in terms of the top 5 leagues, Moses Simon started and played 73 minutes over the weekend as Nantes won the French Cup. So congratulations to Moses Simon. You know, it keeps racking up the trophies and the medals. We really love to see it. Fantastic achievement for Nantes and for Moses Simon. This is a team that was battling relegation last season, and now they're comfortably in 10th place in the league, and they've won the French Cup. It's just an amazing achievement, so congratulations to them. Next up for them, tomorrow night, they play Rennes at home, and then they play Lyon away on Saturday night. In terms of other Ligue 1 teams that are not having their fortunes come in as nicely, Terre-Murphy and Innocent Bonke's Lorient just sit above the relegation zone by 3 points. They're 17th now after they lost 3-0 at home to Marseille on Sunday. Terre-Murphy started the game and Innocent Bonke came off the bench. I didn't even remember Bonke. Why wasn't Bonke called up? And you're showing me players like Samson Tijani in the squad. It's a travesty. But anyway, Lorient needs to focus on staying in the division. Next up for them, though, big game. They play Bordeaux away on Saturday night. Bordeaux are currently last in Liga, which is crazy considering their heritage. If Bordeaux failed to win that game, they would be relegated to League 2. So that's, honestly, that's really, really crazy. And just before I take another break, I just want to touch on the Premier Liga. Zaidu Sanusi. Zaidu fucking Sanusi, man. The star boy of the week. I remember saying in last week's podcast that Porto needed a draw to win the Portuguese league. Well, would you believe that they were drawing Benfica away at Benfica? Mind you, Porto and Benfica are the 2 biggest teams in Portugal. 0-0. Benfica have a corner kick. Pepe heads the ball out. Porto go on the break, and this Porto player just dashes. It's like 4 Porto players against 2 Benfica defenders. Zaidu Sanusi is one of the players that's running into the Benfica penalty box to see if he can connect. And this guy just lays the ball up, floats the ball up in the air. And Sanusi, one-time volley with his left foot, straight into the top corner in stoppage time to win the game for Porto and clinch the Portuguese league title. It literally felt like something from a movie script. So shout out to Zaidu Sanusi, scoring his probably the most poor goal of his career for sure. And I saw his Instagram where he said it was the best day of his life. And you know what? I don't blame you, Zaidu. What an amazing, amazing achievement, and congratulations. on becoming a champion, his first league title of his career. I will be seeing him in the championship next season. I don't want to see any disrespect on Sanusi's name. And as far as I'm concerned, this man needs to start for Nigeria every single game. So anyway, they've got one more game in the league. And they'll be playing against Estoril at home on Saturday. And then I believe they have the Portuguese Cup to win the double after that. But yeah, shout out to Zaidu Sanusi, what I'm going to call the top 6 leagues this week. And just to wrap up the podcast with the final set of leagues in Europe, starting with the Dutch Eredivisie as usual. Cyriel Dessers, who, congratulations on his call-up. First of all, Cyriel Dessers will be competing in a European Cup final. So his final team drew 0-0 away to Marseille at the Stade Velodrome last week Thursday, which means that they won the overall tie 3-2, and they will be competing against Jose Mourinho's Roma, who knocked out Leicester in the UEFA Conference League final, which is a great, great achievement. I believe it's first final since 2003 when they had like Pierre Van Hooijdonk, if I remember correctly. I think they lost to Celtic or they beat Celtic 4-0. I can't remember, but I just remember that memory for some reason. But yeah, congratulations to Dessers. With his 10 goals in the tournament. And on the league on Sunday, Feyenoord were at home to PSV Eindhoven. A lot of Ajax fans were worried because if PSV Eindhoven won the game, I think there would have been only 1 or 2 points between them. But PSV were winning 2-0. And guess who stepped up to score a brace for Feyenoord? You guessed it right, Cyriel Dessers. So he's now taken his league tally to 8 goals. And plus his goals in Europe, he's got 18 goals for the season. Great to see him rewarded with the national team call-up, and I'm hoping that we'll see him start at least one of those crucial games and score his first goal for the Super Eagles. In terms of rounding up the league, they've got 2 more games. They play Go Ahead Eagles away on Wednesday, and then they round up the season at home to FC Twente on Sunday. So shout out Dessers. Marika Koye's spell as a Sparta Rotterdam player is almost coming to an end. On Saturday, he made 4 saves as Sparta got a crucial 2-1 win away to Groningen. Unfortunately for them, though, they remain 3 points off safety. And the reason for this is somehow Fortuna Sittard, who are the team who sit above them, also won away 2-1 against Twente. Twente is supposed to be one of the better teams in the Dutch Eredivisie, but yeah, somehow they put it out of the bag. So now they're still 3 points behind them, and they've got 2 games to save their season. So they play PEC Zwolle at home on Wednesday tomorrow night, and then they play Heracles away on Sunday to end the season. In the Belgian league, Alhassan Yusuf started for Royal Antwerp. Congratulations on his call-up too. But they got battered 4-0 at home on Sunday by Anderlecht. Shout out Vincent Kompany. Anyway, they get a chance to enact their revenge. They play Anderlecht away on Thursday, and then they'll play Club Brugge at home on Sunday night. Polonwachu's Genk were also in action. Last week, Friday, they drew 2-2 against Charleroi away. Polonwachu scored a goal in that game. And earlier tonight, he also scored a goal against the same opponent. To be fair, it was a very, very delicious header. Like, Onuachu, when he's on his heading thing, man, he is on it. And it was a great, great header, to be fair to him. Next up for them on Sunday, they play Ghent at home. So hopefully Onuachu can finish up the season well. I have no idea why Onuachu was not called up. Maybe he's going to be in that AFCON list, but I don't want to judge too much. We'll see what happens. In the Turkish league, recently crowned Turkish champion Anthony Nakeme came off the bench for the last 18 minutes last week Friday for Trabzonspor in their 1-1 draw against Hatayspor. They're just processing through the league. Earlier tonight, though, they had a bit of a shock. They lost 4-2 in the Turkish Cup semi-final to Kayserispor. They won the first leg 1-0. And then this second leg, they lost the game 4-2. So they lost 4-3 in aggregate. They were winning this game 3-2 going into stoppage time, and somehow conceded 2 goals in stoppage time. They conceded a penalty, and then they conceded the last gasp winner. So that's halted their chance of winning the double, which I'm sure they'll be very, very disappointed about. But hey, they're Turkish champions, so I'm sure they'll still celebrate that for a long, long time. Next up for them, they play Altay at home on Sunday as they just wrap up their final games in the league. Brighton Saisamo Fenerbahce, he came on for the final 20 minutes on Sunday in their big game against Besiktas. Fenerbahce is second. They need 1 more win to finish in second place, which I believe guarantees them a Champions League spot, or at least a Champions League qualification spot. And then they play Ahmed Musa's Fatih Karagümrük at home on Sunday. Tunisia Wasim's Alanyaspor are actually 5th in the league, so well done. He started their most recent game, which is good to see, which was a 2-1 win over Adana Demirspor away on Saturday. I believe Adana Demirspor is where Balotelli was earlier this season. He might still be there, to be fair. Next up for them, though, they play Sivasspor away tomorrow night in the other Turkish Cup semi-final. So whoever wins that game will play Kayserispor in the Turkish Cup final. And then they play Gaziantep at home on Sunday in the league. Speaking of Fatih Karagümrük, Ahmed Musa started in a 3-1 win over Göztepe at home on Saturday. And now 6th in the league. And next up for them, they will play Fenerbahce away on Sunday. So that's it in terms of the Turkish league. Moving on to the Russian league, Chiragik's CSKA Moscow were in action on Saturday and they lost 1-0 at home to FK Sochi, who are now 3rd in the league. So CSKA Moscow are now 4th in the league and they round up the season on Sunday away to Krasnodar. So it hasn't been a great league season for them. Just to round up, in the Czech Republic League, Peter Alhassan and Yurasor, both Nigerian players. I didn't realize Sor was a Nigerian player because his name was, I'm not sure where it's from. But Alhassan missed their last game, but Sor started the game as they beat Slovako 3-0 at home on Sunday. Next up for them, they play Bank Ostrava away on Wednesday, and then they play Sparta Prague in a Prague derby on Sunday, which will be their final game of the season. Omoniana Casillas, Abdoulaye Shehu and Uzoho. Uzoho started their last game while Abdoulaye Shehu was on the bench as they won 3-2 against AEL on Saturday. Next up for them, they played PAEEK away on Saturday in the league. So that's it for the roundup of the leagues. In terms of Starboy of the Week, I mean, we have to give a shout out to Moses Simon, who won the French League for the French Cup. But Zaidu Sanusi, as I already ranted and raved about, clean sheet, scoring the winning goal for Porto in stoppage time against one of your biggest rivals, if not your biggest rivals, to clinch the league title. And obviously, the Portuguese league is the 6th best league in Europe. In fact, it's even getting close to overtaking the French league, depending on how they all perform in Europe based on UEFA coefficient. So just an unbelievable script. You couldn't script it any better if you tried to write a movie. So shout out to Zaidu Sanusi, our Starboy of the Week. Ones to watch for the week, Alex Iwobi's Everton playing Watford away tomorrow and Brentford at home over the weekend. Charles Poole cleared the relegation zone. Samuel Chukwueze playing against Real Sociedad on Sunday. Battle for UEFA Conference League in La Liga. Taiwo Awoniyi playing Bochum on Saturday with a chance to clinch a European League spot and also maybe get 15 league goals. Terem Moffi playing against Bordeaux on Saturday in a big relegation 6-pointer. Cyriel Dessers playing away against Go Ahead Eagles on Wednesday and 20 at home on Sundays. Got a chance to get close to 20 goals in all competitions. And he must be buzzing after getting his call up back to Nigeria. And Bright Samuel's Fenerbahce played against Ahmed Musa's Fatih Karagümrük on Sunday, which is basically 2nd against 6th in the league. So that's it for this episode of the podcast. Thanks for listening and for sticking with me. I know this one was a bit longer, but we had to get the content out and talk about the Super Eagles squad. Please remember to follow us on our social media channels at NFWPOD on Twitter, at Nigeria Football Weekly on Instagram, for Facebook.com/Nigeria Football Weekly. I appreciate every single listener. I'll be sure to bring you the roundup on how all these games go over the next week and the weekend ahead. Take care, and until next time, peace out. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell to get a notification whenever we drop a video. You can also find our social media channels listed below. And of course, up Super Eagles and Nigeria know they ever carry last.